Hey everyone, welcome to the Bulletalks podcast, where we talk anything and everything related to STEM. I'm your host, and today we're diving into something super important: justice, equality, and advocacy in STEM. STEM is cool. Science, tech, medicine, it's where innovation happens. But when you look at who's actually getting represented in these fields, yeah, that's where things get messy. Let's break it down. Black women make up less than 2% of the STEM workforce. That's tiny. And it's not because they aren't smart or capable. It's because they face barriers like racism, stereotypes, and a serious lack of mentors who look like them. Indigenous scientists, they're barely included, even when the research is literally about their land or their communities. Western science often ignores Indigenous knowledge, even though it's been around for thousands of years and is incredibly valuable, especially when it comes to climate change and protecting the environment. Trans and non-binary people, most studies don't even include them. That means doctors might not know how to treat them properly, and health data doesn't reflect their real experiences. Some medical forms don't even let people choose the gender they identify with, which makes them feel more invisible. But why does this matter? It's because different backgrounds bring different ideas. If science only includes one type of person, it misses out on better solutions. It's not just unfair, it's inaccurate. STEM should reflect the real world, and that means including everyone. But the good part is that people from all kinds of backgrounds are stepping up and changing the game. For example, Dr. Kimia Corbett helped create the Moderna COVID vaccine. She's a Black woman scientist who was working on it before most people even knew COVID existed. She also speaks out about racism in science and why it's so important to support young scientists of color. And then there's Dr. Raven Baxter, aka Raven the Science Maven. She's a molecular biologist who makes science fun and relatable. She uses music, fashion, and social media to teach science in a way that feels fresh and exciting. Her videos break stereotypes and show that scientists can be creative and stylish too. And then there's Dr. Jessica Hernandez, who's an Indigenous environmental scientist who writes and speaks about how Western science often ignores Indigenous knowledge. Her book, Fresh Banana Leaves, explains how we can protect the planet better by listening to Indigenous communities. And then Dr. Bears was a transgender neuroscientist who studied brain cells and also spoke out about sexism in science. He used his own experience to show how gender bias affects how people are treated in STEM. These people prove that you don't have to fit the mold to make a difference. You just have to show up and speak up. They're changing what STEM looks like and making it more inclusive for everyone. But now let's talk about something that's been overlooked for way too long: how science has been built around the male body. For years, women were left out of clinical trials. Scientists thought their hormones made results too complicated, so most research was done on men and then used to treat everyone. That's a huge problem. Here's what happens when women are left out. Medications don't always work the same for women, so some drugs have stronger side effects or don't work at all. And women's pain is often ignored. Studies show that doctors are more likely to think women are overreacting or emotional when they talk about pain. Conditions like PCOS affect millions of women, but they get way less funding than male-focused diseases. That means slower research, fewer treatments, and more people suffering in silence. Even crash test dummies used in car safety tests were based on male bodies for decades. That made cars less safe for women, especially in seatbelt design and airbag placement. Why this matters, though, is because when science skips half the population, it's not just biased, it's dangerous. We need research that includes women, trans, and non-binary people, so healthcare and safety actually work for everyone. And that's a wrap on today's episode of Bulletalks podcast. We covered a lot, from the representation crisis to people rewriting the STEM narrative and the gender gaps that still haunt medical research. Thanks for tuning in. Stay curious.